like, is there a world, or we just is he just like, is it just an uphill battle because of what Khabib was and who he was and what he did?
Well, I mean, like you said, it's a very subjective thing, especially where they're at right now, right? I mean, like John Jones is to the point where there's not really a lot of debate, right? The only debate is, steroid stuff, right? That's literally your only argument of him being the greatest of all time or not. When you look at his record, he's the greatest of all time, period, right? It's just a fact. But yeah, I think Armin is still in that phase. Not Armin, Islam. If he beats Armin, he's still in that phase of like there's some debate, right? And for me personally, the losses don't take away from that, right? You can't say like, well, he had a loss and he didn't. Like you lose when you fight above your competition, your level, right? If Khabib would have fought, you know, I don't know, BJ Penn, like for his debut pro fight, like BJ probably would have beat him, right? I don't know, like, maybe that's a bad example, but it's just if you're fighting guys at your level or below, then you win, and if you fight guys above your level, you lose, right? And then when you get to the top, right now you're fighting for the title, you should be the best in the world. So then it comes to title defenses for the greatest of all time. So we certainly have to put Armin in that conversation. The loss, and if anything, the loss shows me like, okay, you can work through some adversity, right? Like he's lost some rounds and he worked through the adversity. To me, that shows more strength than someone who didn't lose rounds. That just means you were that much better than everyone. And in this sport, like not everyone, like everybody has a weakness. And if you fight long enough, like you will lose. That is the game. You fight often enough people, you put yourself out there enough, like you will lose. With all the credit to that we give John Jones, like a heavyweight, he has picked his fights. Um, at light heavyweight, we there's arguments that he lost a few of those fights, a couple of those fights. Um, so the losses aren't really, to me, what's going to discredit someone for being in that greatest of all time argument. But for me personally, Islam wins this fight. He is at the top of that list, right? Then you got to look into the nitty gritty details of him versus Khabib, who's the greater, or maybe BJ still, right? Like I think there's a good argument still that BJ was the greatest ever.